the Fox 5 Morning News at 7.
Yeah. Who's the big I gave my own opinion to Chase 2 seconds ago. Who's the big winner in the Elon Musk Twitter deal? Joining us now to break it all down, Chase Wilsey of Wilsey Asset Management. Chase, good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think you're allowed to. Anyway, my non-expert opinion on that. Let's talk about this. We've all heard of the big $44 billion number, which is a lot. Twitter stockholders, the obvious question, what do they have to gain from it aside from the obvious, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that the Twitter stockholders are the big winners here. I think Twitter was a dud in terms of investment. I mean, it had really struggled. It hit a high over $70 a share, fell down into the low $30s a share.
Right.
Elon Musk's bid was for $54.20 a share. I think that is a very, very generous price for it. So I think they're the big winners here.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you look at it, it's still trading around $48 a share. So there's still some more upside potential to that stock because there's still more hurdles that you have to overcome before it is a finalized deal.
And what happens next? Because it's not a completely done deal yet. So what still needs to happen, and what kind of changes can we still see before it's done?
Yeah, so obviously that's why you still see that premium from 48 to 54.20. There's still some skepticism as to whether or not this deal is going to go through. I personally think it will still go through. But what happens next is Elon Musk gets to take a look at the books here for Twitter, make sure everything checks out okay. I think it will because they're held to the SEC. They get third-party audits. It's not like they're trying to hide anything in the financials. So I think that'll be fine. After that comes the regulators. Now, the regulators, most of the time they look for antitrust, competition problems. Musk doesn't own anything in the social media space, so I don't see that being a big problem. But it's got to go through the EU. It's got to go through the FTC here in the United States. My big concern here is we know Musk has kind of been a little combative with the SEC to say. So I don't think there's going to be big problems there, but I'm curious to see if there are any issues. And then finally, the shareholders have to approve it. I don't see any reason why they would not approve it. There are some that say, this was at $71 a share. I think there's still more value to it. I would disagree. I think this is a great deal for the shareholders.
Combative was an excellent word that you used. And you mentioned the shareholders, so it does come down to a vote, ultimately. But that's not going to be a problem, right? I mean,
yeah, and the other thing people look at is, oh, there might be competing bids, but
do you think somebody else would try?
I think you would have heard some rumblings here that by now that there would have been some other offers. I think this is a more than fair offer for Twitter. I don't see anybody else coming in topping that.
Let's talk about regulations that Elon and the company could face after the takeover. What are we talking about?
Well, we know that there's been a lot of politicians that have talked about kind of policing the environment and the content that goes on social media. We know there's been a lot of senators, congressmen, congresswomen here in the U.S. that have talked about it, but also to the EU. I'm very curious to see how Elon handles the EU if this deal is finalized, because they've come out and talked about, the UK in particular, they want these social media companies to police content that is both legal and harmful. Well, that's a very, very vague answer. And Elon the other day came out and said, I want all content that is legal on the platform. Completely goes against what the UK says. But the UK's penalty right now, if this goes through, is up to 10% of global revenues, and the executives could face jail time. So I'm very curious. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes through and Elon has Twitter and they keep pushing him. I don't think Elon is doing this to make a profit off the investment. I think he's doing it because he wants free speech. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, you know what, I don't want to deal with you, UK. We're pulling out.
Does he want free speech or does he want power?
I don't think he wants power. I think he wants free speech. I think that he's been very, very big in terms of his tweets, in terms of allowing people to go back. I mean, he's come out and said, hey, I want people that disagree with me on the platform to come out and disagree with me. I don't think he's doing it for power. I think he likes to make the headlines, obviously.
Because, I mean, you're talking about, I can't even do the math. What is that, 1/6 of his value is what he just, I mean, the dude's worth $250 billion, and he paid almost 50 to buy this thing.
I'm going to say
is that economically, financially wise? If somebody came up to you and said, "Look, I'm worth $100. I want to spend 60 of that and buy Twitter or something."
You know, I think Elon is a very interesting guy. I don't know him personally, obviously, but I think that he wants to do different things with his money. I don't think he likes these lavish things that most people do. I think he likes to run companies. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. I mean, he does the Boring Company. He has the Starlink. He has, SpaceX, Tesla. I mean, I think he just likes business. And I think that, what's $44 billion if you have $260 billion?
Okay, yeah.
I still have another $220 billion elsewhere.
When you put it that way. Let's talk. You mentioned Tesla because immediately after this happened, Tesla loses like $120-something billion in its company value. What do you read into that? What does that mean?
Well, I think it's a kind of multiple different factors that are playing into that stock. Number one, we see the rising interest rates coming. I think that's hitting a lot of the growth stocks. Tesla, they trade at unreasonable valuations. I think that's playing into it. But also, too, the other concern here is, I just mentioned all Elon Musk's different ventures. Yeah. How much time does the guy have in a day? I think he's a brilliant man.
Look at this. I literally wrote here, is Elon spread too thin? Because if his brilliant mind, and it is a brilliant mind, if he's behind the creativity and the moving forward of all these companies, if he can't put himself into each one enough, then where do they go?
I mean, there were stories of him spending the nights on the floor at Tesla manufacturing plants to get things done. How is he going to be able to do that now? I think more of his baby now is SpaceX. He's talked a lot about the Boring Company, and now Twitter as well. I mean, how involved is he going to be there? That, I think, is weighing on Tesla stock as well.
Do you buy Twitter stock now?
I would not. I think Twitter's a terrible company. If the deal falls through, that stock would easily fall back into the 30s. Your upside is about a 10% gain. I think your downside is 30-40%. I always, when deals like this happen, I say you have to like the company in case the deal does fall through.
Can we get that edit button on Twitter?
We'll see.
I think so. One. Yeah. So if he wants one, I think he gets what he wants, usually. Chase Wilsey, we thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You know who can go on this Ritz-Carlton yacht? Elon Musk.
Definitely.
He could buy the boat. The Ritz-Carlton now offering cruises on super yachts. Chase, look at this. Honeymoon idea, perhaps.
I don't know about that.
Holy moly. I'm